What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Hailie and I am a booktuber. I post book videos almost every single week. I do also do a little bit of lifestyle content, so there's a little bit of everything here, but my main focus is books. So today I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a recommendation list for those of you that are trying to get into reading but don't really know where to start. So I kind of put together a little starter pack of some of my favorite books that I think are really good to dive into the book world and kind of discover what you really enjoy reading. There's actually a few of these books that I'm going to share with you guys today that actually jump-started my love back into reading again. I used to read a ton when I was younger, like middle school to high school. I was an avid reader for years and years, but as I got older, I started reading less and less. So in the past year, I have become an avid reader once again. And truly, I owe a lot of that to some of these books in this stack today. It's weird to say that reading again is trendy, but it is, and it's amazing. But it can also be overwhelming with all of the book content on social media now. Like, there's so many books and so many recommendations, so it's hard to figure out where to start. So I've tried to narrow it down for you. So I am going to hop into this stack. The first one I want to start off with is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is a true romance novel. I know a lot of people try to get back into reading during summertime, and this is truly the quintessential summer read. This book also has dual timelines, so as you're reading, everything is unfolding. So you go from past to present tense. You get the story of like their childhood friendship, how their love came to be. Such a cute story. Next up, I have Mary Jane, and this one's a little bit different. I feel like this one is a good one to dive back into reading because it's quick, it's short, it's sweet, it's funny, and this is another really amazing summer read. This one takes place in 1970s Baltimore. The main character is the most sweet, innocent little church girl, and she ends up babysitting for the summer for this family that's a little unorthodox. She gets exposed to all things sex, drugs, rock and roll. It's such a fun read. It's a little bit more of a coming of age story, a little bit of self-discovery, and I just absolutely fell in love with the main character, Mary Jane, and also the family that she ends up babysitting for. I just want to hang out with all of them. So this is kind of like a little hug in a book and the perfect beach read for summer. And speaking of beach read, of course, Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is a great beach read, but also a gorgeous romance novel. What I love about Emily Henry's writing, I mean, honestly, you can't go wrong with any of her books. I actually have another one in the stack here, is that it's not all just romance and sunshine and rainbows, which is really funny in this book because the two main characters are authors and they have little beach houses right side by side, and they end up swapping genres and kind of having a little friendly competition of who can write better in the opposing genre. So the boy main character, Gus, the love of my life, he tries to write a little romance, and January, the female main character in this book, she tries to write something a little bit darker. Over the course of their summer of writing, they end up becoming a little bit more than friends and going on all of these excursions to become better writers. This is such a fun one and another one of my all-time faves. Moving on to a thriller I really love. This is by Stacey Willingham. This is A Flicker in the Dark, and she has another book, All the Dangerous Things, that is amazing as well, but I would recommend this one first. They're not connected, but I just kind of like this one a little bit more. This one takes you on a wild ride. The main character, her father was a serial killer, and 20 years later, weird things start going around in her town that are eerily similar to her father's crime. If you are trying to get into reading, this is one that is hard to put down, so it'll keep you pushing. And same thing with this one. This is What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. There are three main girls in this book that were 11 when a tragic accident happened. One of them was nearly murdered. They ended up sending someone to prison for it, but years later, they have kept a secret. So the main character, the one that was almost murdered, she is set to figure out what really happened here, because for her, it was kind of a blur. She's 11, she went through this tragic, traumatic incident, and she's like, what is the truth? Because things are not adding up. I breezed through this book. I thought it was such a fun one. I love the writing, and I truly recommend this. Better Than the Movies by my girl Lynn Painter. This is the best rom-com ever. This is one of Lynn Painter's YA novels. She has another one, The Do-Over, that's kind of like a Groundhog Day sort of vibe where she's repeating the same day over and over again. That's really, really fun. But this one is one of my all-time favorites by Lynn Painter. There are so many callbacks to all of your favorite rom-coms. It's such a cute story, a very quick, easy read as well, and I adored it. Ugh, it's just so cute. I love this book. I made my mom read it as well, so even though this is a YA, I recommend it to everyone. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is one of those books that really kind of launched me back into reading. I was obsessed with this story. For me, it was like one of those books that you kind of feel like you're part of. You have a connection with these characters. And I love all the old Hollywood vibes. So in this book, the main character is an old Hollywood starlet. You get all the glitz and the glamour, but you also get the behind the scenes, which is a little bit more dark. So this one's also kind of set in both present and past tense. In the present day, there is an interviewer that finally gets the opportunity to interview Evelyn Hugo after years and years of just silence. So in some chapters you'll get the interviewer's point of view, and then you'll be transported to back in the day as Evelyn Hugo's life unfolds, and I love how it's written. Next up I have Mame by Jessica George, and this is such a beautiful story. It's kind of written almost like a memoir. This is literary fiction though. Somewhat of a coming to age, sort of finding yourself vibe. Although I feel like this book is good for all kinds of people, this is especially great if you are in your 20s, your early 20s, kind of feeling a little bit lost, you're having trouble making friends, life is getting weird. I just found this main character to be so insanely relatable. It's really just her kind of going through life, feeling a little bit lost. She's struggling with relationships, both romantic and familial. Her dad is really sick, her mom isn't really around, her brother's very disconnected. It's just kind of like she's lonely. Such a beautiful story. I love this book. This next one, oh my gosh, I picked this book up on a whim, didn't really even read the back. I was just like, okay, yeah, I want to read a little bit more by Lisa Jewell, so let me check this out. Read it in a single afternoon and then ended up ordering the second book in this series. It's just like a 2-book series. It's so good. You just want to know more. So this one's a psychological thriller. Basically, there was this family that had a very strange death occur in this home, and 25 years later the main character of this book finds out that that home that they passed away in is now hers. So of course she's interested to find out what was going on with her birth parents, who they really were, why they passed away the way they did. There's such strange circumstances, and she sets out on a journey to find the truth. This book takes you on all kinds of twists and turns, and the story is just insane. I ate it up. This was such an addicting read. Oh my goodness. I highly recommend. And also, I don't have the physical copy with me, but I would also recommend Then She Was Gone as another like kind of starter pack sort of read. Also by Lisa Jewell, also very addicting. I also decided to add Happy Place to the stack. So this is another book by Emily Henry, and this one is new. This came out in April. The reason that I decided to include this one over 2 of her other novels that are extremely popular is not only because this is a newer one, but I also think that a larger group of people would enjoy this one because it's not just like romance. There's a lot of life stuff in here. This also gives you like super summer vibes, so I don't know. I thought it was a good one. So the 2 main characters in this book broke up 6 months ago, decided not to tell anyone, and now they are on a friend trip of sorts, pretending that they are still together. There's a little bit of chaos. There's some fights, some arguing, some tension. This is another like dual timeline sort of book, so past, present day. I think this is another really good like finding yourself sort of read. The group of friends in this book are friends from college, and they've all kind of like grown up and somewhat grown apart, and it kind of just talks about the difficulty, how life is like always changing and moving. The older you get, people are getting married, people are getting pregnant. It's just a whole thing, which is extremely relatable for me at this stage in my life. So I found a lot of comfort in this book, honestly, and I think the story is pretty fun. The very last book that I wanted to mention and recommend is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I knew that I wanted to include a Alice Feeney book in this stack here, but I wasn't sure which one because they're all honestly really good. His and Hers is amazing. Rock, Paper, Scissors is amazing. Basically, this book is about a family reunion that takes place on a somewhat deserted island. It's hard to get around because the tide comes in and then you're kind of cut off from civilization. They're kind of stuck on this little land and then one of them goes missing. So as you can imagine, the family quickly turns on one another and starts pointing fingers at everyone. So this is a murder mystery. It kind of reads like a game of Clue, which I think is so fun. There's tons of twists and turns in this one, and I did not expect the ending. So that is my little reading starter pack, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. I'll have a full list of my recommendations in the description box, so check that out before you leave. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye!